Really?
Well,
It's how it So what is it?
Oh no, I'm saying ours our box says chamomile honey on it.
We have to have 75%.
Oh, and then council.
Okay.
Whenever they establish.
Oh, great. It's always good to have somebody that knows.
I was chair. We did a safety test. They work on it.
There was another.
We had a couple go.
So what is this doing?
It's recording, let's let y'all know that you're recording up with us right now.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. No, I am not a fan. Definitely be tough.
I think you get better once they finish 46. I think a lot of people shortcut right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, traffic, you got to go beyond Johnson Ridge almost to Salt Road.
Oh, wow.
To get to 21.
That's insane.
That's 2.5 miles, almost 2 miles.
Yeah. It's
I mean, it moves along. It moves along. It's interesting. Wasn't like that. 46. Oh, well, it'd be nice if it's not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They just started opening up. Yeah. Yeah. They just have.
Yeah.
But we live right on. I was used to going all the way across, like, because we're in the so it was across all the way over. Anyway, and so one morning I was about to go do that and realized it was opening up. I was about to cut no flames.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's getting that point out.
Yeah.
I know. We went there for it. They close it.
Yeah.
I thought we were in my guy girl in a company car.
Oh, nice.
It was great coverage.
Yeah, I was
And
saying,
it worked
you
out
gotta
well.
be it.
Yeah. If you're going to get hit, it's nice to get hit by an
We probably have cameras and stuff.
I felt sorry for the guy whose watch fell off or something. He was really never stop and go. Freeway and helps it.
It was not much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Okay. 6:30, I'll call this meeting of the zoning board to order. My name is Kevin Harvick. I'm the chair of the committee. I have lived in Bulverde for 12 years and 13 years now in Shepherd's Ranch.
I'm Laura Kinney, and I have lived in Bulverde for 5 years in Windmill Ranch.
Mike Ashmore. I live in Oak Village North for the last 12 years.
My name is Alyssa, and I've lived in Hidden Trails for the last 5 years.
Sharon Parson, Bell Oaks, 5 years.
Okay. You want me to swear you in?
Yeah, I'll just mention for everybody here, the Board of Adjustment is what's called a quasi-judicial board. That means before anyone speaks to the board, they'll have to be sworn in with an affidavit, or with, not an affidavit, an affirmation. The chairman's going to go ahead and administer the affirmation to me and the other members of staff, and then anyone who speaks when you get up at that time, the chairman will administer that to you. So staff, go ahead and stand up.
Do you solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury that the statements you're about to make are true, to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I affirm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have 3 cases in front of us tonight. We will go in order of the agenda. For each case, we will hear from the applicant or the applicant's representative, Then we will hear from any members of the public that are wish to speak in favor of the application, and any members of the public that are here that might wish to speak in opposition to the application. So with that, we will begin with the request from Aaron Christian with RVK Architecture on behalf of Jennifer Shebe. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This request is related to the new construction of the veterinary clinic located along Highway 46. For all new construction permits along Highway 46, the city has a landscape buffer requirement referred to as the Scenic Gateway Overlay. This 25-foot landscape buffer requires a specific number of trees to be planted within that buffer. Based on the width of the lot, a total of 25 trees are required to be planted within that buffer. The landscape buffer requirements also restrict tree planting to be no closer than 10 feet from the property line. And the applicant has noted that there is a 20-foot electrical easement and a GBRA water line within that 25-foot buffer zone. You can see it here. Oops, sorry, wrong one. This is the 25-foot buffer, this teal line right here. Sorry. And this is the GBRA water line that kind of runs across here. So this white zone right here is kind of what they're left with for the Scenic Gateway to plant 25 trees. But if you have any questions about the sites or the staff report, I can answer any questions, or the applicant is here to answer any questions about the project or the requirements.
Yeah. I need to swear you in. You solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury that the statements you're about to make are true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Okay, introduce yourself.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you all for your time. I'm Aaron Christian with RVK, representing Dr. Shebe for the Fern Feather Vet Clinic. So I think he kind of pretty much summed it up. We have a very small space, 5 feet, to plant the required number of trees. Additionally, there's a road access easement for the 46 Parkway that they would have to figure out, bore under to get irrigation to the other side. So we're requesting a variance. We also looked, and none of the other sites in the area have trees planted in this area, so we assume that it is a known condition in the area. There's some that have been developed since the ordinance the scenic overlay ordinance has come about. So we are asking for y'all's consideration of deviation and variance for this.
So this is an interesting question for me that I didn't know. You own, or the vet clinic owns, all the land to Highway 46.
Yes, sir.
And 46 Parkway crosses through your property. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You talk about utility easement. Is there a utility on there above the ground at that point?
I believe that is an overhead utility easement, yes, sir. And then there is also the GBR water line that runs for more than halfway closer to 46 Parkway.
Okay. But when you say easement, overhead utility easement, is there an overhead line there already?
I believe so, yes, sir. And it's kind of, the ordinance states that you can't plant trees in the easements. That's kind of
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
no, actually.
So I understand it's a much smaller space in which to plant your trees. Were you planning on planting any trees?
We have maxed out the site on trees. We have a letter from the arborist for another item that we're trying to clear through the planning department. And so given the terrain and the grading that's going on to make the site usable, it doesn't show it, but we had a undersized tree canopy or a survey done, and then the site is pretty much treed, and we want to keep all of those there, because they don't require irrigation and they're growing in rock. So, but we've pretty much maxed it out and are saving as much as we can.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. So we were on the same page. What is the, so I believe that the requirement is 25 trees. So what do you have planned in there?
We have a total of 62 inches that we're planting on site.
And can you translate that for me from 25 trees to,
Um,
I'm trying to understand how far away from the ordinance requirement you are.
Well, we're talking about two different ordinance requirements here. He's referencing the tree preservation ordinance, which applies to the property beyond
the entire.
the scenic gateway. And this tonight is about that strip on the front.
And this is the strip up front?
all the way to the teal line. So you can see between the red line and the teal line is all that's available for tree planting.
less the half on the right-hand side, that's that water line.
So then say we say focus on this, what is the plan for that strip?
Keep it
This
as
is a
native.
5-foot strip here that all you have to work with.
We're gonna keep it native. But it's pretty much what everybody's done. I think there's one that has a parking lot on that side of the street, but we're intending to keep it native. Again, they would have to bore under the road to get irrigation to that side. And it's essentially the same along both sides of the property. It's all native.
Other question?
Yes, I do. So you were saying, you were saying that other properties along the way, same exact requirements, same exact setup. Do you have any information as to whether or not they did come here and seek?
I requested it, but I did not get it.
We don't have any information on that. It's not relevant to a variance case. The law requires the variance to be based on characteristics present on this property. And so whatever happened on the other properties is not going to bear on this case. And also, some of the properties developed a long time ago. Records are not on file anymore. Some of them were developed during a period a few years ago when there was no personnel in the planning department. We don't have any records on them. So I don't have any information on those adjoining properties.
So when you say native, what's there in that front strip now? I think
I believe there's 3 oaks.
within this strip,
I believe, yes, sir. The circles, the simple circles that are on there are.
that's outside the strip, and these two are outside
Yes, sir.
25.
But that's in the,
And then this is just
native grass. Which would, if the road wasn't there and we were to do something, it would be a native seed mix that would be back.
And do you know, is this the GBRA regional water line that goes through there? This isn't the feeder for your property, is it?
I don't believe so.
I believe this is the GBRA's regional water line, a 3-foot, 36-inch pipeline. It's not your traditional regular. It wouldn't require an easement that side. I just wanted to provide that context.
And this plat's still the same after 46 widening in that part of it.
I don't think that TxDOT took any of this property for the 46 widening unless y'all have information contrary. I don't think they did in this area.
Right below that.
On the other side of the
They
road.
certainly cut up to it.
Yeah, I think there's a wall that's there now.
Construction.
Question.
With that retaining wall, is the property visible from 46 now?
Not really.
Is this the area they lowered the road?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I said, I believe this is the area the road was lower.
Low, yeah,
To the curb,
significantly
to polish that hill off, so it wasn't so much of a.
Thank you. Is there anybody out here that wants to speak in favor? Any members of the public want to speak either way regarding this? Okay. So for these variances, we have to consider 3 factors, and all of these factors have to be yes. Okay, and I'll just read them. I think they're in the application package. Granting the variance is not contrary to the public interest. Number 2, the special conditions exist in this case that will cause unnecessary hardship for the applicant. The ordinance is enforced to its full extent. And 3, granting the variance will uphold the spirit of the ordinance and result in substantial justice to both the applicant and the community. And as board members, we have to agree that all 3 of those are true before we can grant a variance. So I'll open it up to any discussion from the board.
It feels like you can't.
So you think that's a hardship?
You feel like no.
I think also because the road level is down below the retaining wall, the property is not visible, so the buffer may not even get into the intended desired effect.
Discussion on the motion. Make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we grant the variance. Here.
That's fine.
Second.
Approve the variance request.
I make a motion we approve the variance request.
Still second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. Second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Passes. Thank you.
My foot and I hit a cord and it changed that might have did something to it.
Enid Gateway overlay.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Is that how far does that extend?
Technically, it extends all of 281 and US 46 and 1863
Within the city limits?
within the.
That's
city
all
limits.
scenic gateway overlay?
That's the theory. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, including 1863. Yes. Okay.
So this parkway runs through their property?
That parkway is, well, we're not on the item anymore, so I can't go too far in discussing it, but it's a private driveway. It's not a street.
Okay, the second item on the agenda, request from Thomas and Gentana Richardson.
Yes, this request is related to the city's residential zoning district requirement that a main residence must be constructed on a lot prior to the construction of an accessory structure. The applicants are not planning on permitting the main residence for a few years, but they did have a water well drilled on the lot, and they are proposing a well house to cover the well equipment. They were also looking to establish landscaping on the lot, and they were seeking authorization for a potting shed, a garden storage shed as well. This lot is in Centennial Ridge.
Okay, thank you.
I believe the applicant is here if you have questions for the applicant.
Yes, I would hear it now. Okay, let me do my swearing in. Do you solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury the statements you're about to make are true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Your name, please?
Hi, I'm Tom Richardson. I am one of the owners of this property.
Okay. Did I say Gentana right?
Gentana.
Gentana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Close.
Thank you.
So let me start by saying, like you said in the package, we're about, depending on the economy, depending on housing and everything, we're about 2 to 5 years out from building on the main residence. But my wife is a Bexar County master gardener, so she is itching to get out here and get going and doing her thing. So this is the first step towards that. And so we wanted to make an iterative process. So we wanted to start building the infrastructure before and then have everything ready to go so that then they can come out, build the house, build the guest house. So this is the first step to making her dream a reality. And after 24 years in the military, I'm ready to have a place where I could call home. And so we're excited to get going on this. I can answer any questions you may have on this.
All right, so I do have a question. You drilled the well. Is the pump and all the equipment installed on it yet, or is the well capped? Or?
The well is there. The equipment, the booster pump, the tank is there. We just don't have the main plumbing that like goes out to like the residences and anything else. The pump does feed into the reservoir, the storage tank, but there's no electricity out there yet, so it'll have to be a generator. So we would just have to plug it into a generator in order to get the water in there. But that's all the plumbing that is done, just enough for to extract the water, go into the storage tank, and then have the small pipe coming off the storage tank where you can actually fill up the water, which is mostly what she wanted, so she could start her landscaping, her trees, and her orchard, and things like that. She just wanted to have some capability to have a water system out there. But until we get the houses out there, we won't have full permanent electrical structure, but the generator will do.
And is a storage tank or a pressure tank on the property already too?
Yes.
Any board members have questions? Yeah.
Just curious, where's the house gonna be?
So you can see that patch of trees. It's going to be in the first third of the property. So you're going to have we're planning.
Where's the front?
Yeah, toward the front. It's going to be, if you take that center star, if you go straight towards the road, it'll be probably about in the middle of that. So we plan on having the main house and a small guest house for my parents if needed, if we need to bring them in, and then a detached garage. It'll be in that whole first third section.
So we're looking at the picture to the right of that, where Addison Ridge.
Correct. Yeah, the first half is going to be the living. I mean, the first third is the living. The second third is going to be my wife's playground with her orchard, her vegetable garden. The third section will be my playground. So that's what I want to make everything native and just make it more, dense. Get the trees repopulated.
Thank you. I believe there's someone here that has asked to speak regarding this application. Do you solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury that the statements you're about to make are true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Steve Dellenbeck. I've been laying out in Gilberti for 6 years. I live in Centennial Ridge and I'm a resident out there for about 4 years. My comments tonight are mainly structured. I'm representing the Centennial Ridge Property Owners Association. I serve as the president of it, have for the last 4 years. So we build consensus within the community. I want to provide the consensus opinion of what's been put together.
Okay.
We have very detailed CCNRs and design guidelines that specify a wide variety of things. Ironically, they're totally silent on the drilling of a well. So we view that the well location, et cetera, it must be within the setbacks that everybody has to honor throughout the neighborhood. But the association has no control over that. With respect to the pump houses, I believe that the Richardsons have gone more than any resident out there in trying to get approval for their pump house. as long as they submit something to the ACC, we'll be in full support of the pump house. I would highly recommend it be done for no other reason for freeze protection for their equipment. So the association, as long as they follow it, will submit to the ACC and adhere to those guidelines. We'll have no objection to the pump house. In advance of any structure, we don't really view a pump house as a structure. I realize it is, but often they're really like dollhouses. I mean, they're not places where people are going to be living.
And this is pretty much centered on that 5-acre lot.
Yes, sir. So location is a non-issue. The only thing we don't want them to come put in a purple one. Maybe not maroon, but we can talk about that. Just something that fits in the landscape and just doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Same thing on the tank. We're very open to putting a tank well in advance. We have some guidelines on tanks as far as what type of coverage that you need to put. But again, we expect all of our property owners to read the CCNRs, follow those, and submit through the ACC. That's this subdivision, as you probably well know. Most homes are $1.5 to $3 million, fairly high in subdivision, and we have explicit requirements. Many of us bought out there because of the guidelines. So people going around the guidelines is bothersome to most of the residents there.
What is the BOA's position on the potting shed?
That would need to be submitted to the ACC in some negotiation. I knew they withdraw, so that's why I chose not to say anything about it. Typically, that would be, we allow 1 10 by 20 shed, which is within those dimensions, but it must be behind the front line of the house. And equally important, the CCNRs don't allow it to be built until the house has been started. We could potentially consider a variance on that. I know they withdraw on that. That would have to be something. I'm not on the ACC, so I'm not a voting member of the architecture committee. But I think there'd be a fair chance they could get approval for it. In particular, it's going to be far enough back and covered by trees. I don't think that it'll be visible from the road, which is really what we're trying to avoid with early structures.
Thank you. So that portion has been withdrawn?
Did they withdraw that from ours?
We received a notification today.
Okay.
Well, apparently it is.
So we're just talking about the well house then?
All I was going to speak about was the well house.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak for or against this? No? Okay. Now it's our turn. I think this seems simple enough, but the hardship thing that we have to say there's a hardship is what I think we need to discuss here.
Could we ask you to speak up a little bit? We're not picking it up on them.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
I was just saying that I do see the weather freezing, for example, could be a hardship, but since it hasn't happened yet, I don't know if that would count as a hardship.
It could. We also learned in that a hardship cannot be something that is self-inflicted.
Yeah.
So we do have to consider the choice of putting all the equipment on that far in advance of building the house. And this is because the rules for variance are pretty strict and we have to abide by them. That hardship thing is the thing I think we need to talk about a little bit or determine if I think I would say we're okay on the public interest. It's in the middle, nobody can see it. I think the spirit of the ordinance is probably kept, and they're not trying to build a party house or anything else that's going on. Just something to protect the structure. And I need everybody's opinion on this.
So basically, the hardship is something that we might have so far in advance.
And I do understand the desire to have 5 acres and to get out and enjoy it. I understand that.
Which isn't that part of the things that we should be reconsidering is, this is for the enjoyment of their property, therefore they had to drill the well.
Is there a definition of enjoyment of property that we think about?
Well, it has to be enjoyment of the property for an authorized use. In this case, the authorized use is single-family residence with accessory structure.
And gardening,
I'm sorry?
and gardening,
As an accessory use to the primary structure.
So what is interesting about this, if you're starting to build a house, you would build things, you might build something 2 months before you start on the house. And I don't know if there's a timeline involved in that or not.
Generally, the city requires you to apply for both. You either have to apply for the house first and then the accessory structure, or you can apply for the house and the accessory structure at the same time. But you won't get a certificate of occupancy on either until the main house is built. Right. But you can't apply in isolation for the exception.
Rich.
Main reason why we did this is we have talked to dozens and dozens of people who have done the exact same thing that we are doing out there. They all resoundingly have recommended we do infrastructure first. So they're saying get the stuff set up first, so when you start building and start doing all the other outbuildings and things like that, everything is already set up. I would say if I lost my $40,000 well, then it would be a hardship on us, and it would be a financial hardship if we had to redo that. So in terms of it's well-being for my wife and for our family to have that water system out there in order for her to start growing her vegetables. We live 10 minutes away from it, so we are out there almost every other day anyway to help to start curing the land, to start make it habitable. The sooner we can do that, the sooner we can actually build.
So, I mean, you addressed the hardship in your application, so let me just.
While you're reading that, what's the forecast for electricity to power the well pump?
Yeah, from what I understand, you have to have a permit. I think we have to submit a permit to you all in order for the main dwelling before
You won't
electrical.
be able to just hook up any electrical to the block without a permit for the primary structure.
Gotcha.
So that's why you mentioned the generator when you do need the water.
Correct. And it's it's fine for the generator because we can go out there, plug it in, and we can fill up the tank while we're out, trimming or weeding or doing whatever. We can just have it running in the background, filling up the tank, and then we can get the water when needed, whenever we're out there.
So I've seen the diagram of what you want to put there for the pump house. If the hardship is about protecting, is there something that can be done as a protection until you start building the house and put up a more permanent house? Is there some kind of temporary or smaller structure that can be put there? I don't know what height you're talking about for the equipment. I don't have a picture of the equipment in my head to know what you have there now and what you need to protect.
Yeah, then we wanted to put it there so it's like Mr. Dolenbuck said, we wanted to have a nice structure there that we didn't want to have just a plastic structure or something that could blow away or just putting a tarp over it or something like that. We wanted to make it very nice, and then so if anybody would look at it, they wouldn't have a problem with it as opposed to something plastic or, again, I'm not an environmental expert, so I don't know what we put there that would, I guess, protect it. I mean, I grew up in Ohio, so I know what the North can do to pipes and things like that. So we just wanted to have a nice structure up front, so we don't have to worry about it in the future.
Is this an actual picture of the well house or just a simulation?
Yeah, that's the actual. Yeah, that's the actual one.
That's what it'll look like?
Based on the specs, yeah, we're gonna order, and then I'm gonna be putting it together. And we're gonna have a stone mason come out and do the brickwork around the base of it to make it look nice. And then I'm gonna do the metal roof to make it consistent with what we're gonna have on the other buildings, the main structure and the guest house. They're all gonna be the same color.
Is that concrete foundation already in place?
Right.
It's there now.
Yeah, they had a prefabbed concrete structure that they did for the well. We extended it a little bit just so we can make a bigger well house that can accommodate, like maybe like a water softener, a sediment filter, and anything else equipment wise that would need to be in that house. So when they do maintenance on it, they have all the equipment right there at the same location instead of going to a house, going to a guest house or whatever. They'll have all the maintenance equipment in one location. So we wanted to make it big enough that they can get in there and move around.
I think sometimes, well, I won't guess as to what they were thinking when the ordinances were built. A lot of times the hardships we hear about are because the land is too steep, or there's a dry creek that runs through that would flood if you were forced to build exactly according. Now that's not the case here. Financial is not a hardship, unfortunately. I mean, it is personally, but by our legal definition, financials is not a hardship unless it's more than 50%, I think, of the entire value of the property. And things that are done incorrectly and need to be redone or have been done in advance is kind of considered self-inflicted, and that can't be considered what we consider hardship. So I think now our hardship is whether or not the equipment that's there, whether it should be or not, needs to be protected. And are we going to say that? Unless somebody else has ideas on this. Thank you.
So I have a question. This picture. Is that what it looks like now?
Right. That's
So we're looking from the top down.
correct. That's our drone. Yeah, that's a drone shot.
So the round is the cover of the well?
That's the tank.
This is
the
the
top
top,
of the
okay,
tank.
this is
Yeah,
the
that's
tank.
the tank
And
and
the square is where the well house goes.
correct.
Square.
Correct.
So the well is in the middle of that slab.
Right. Yeah.
Where
The
that
equipment is
silver
in
thing
the darker gray.
Yes.
Yeah, we extended the thing to accommodate the house, the bigger house, and then the other equipment that's going to go behind the pump itself. Like
So are these water pipes that I'm seeing in that dark area of the square?
yes, there's those white pipes.
Yes, those
Yeah,
are
that's
pipes.
the pipe. Yeah, that's the pipe that goes out of the well and then underground into the tank itself.
And how far out of the ground is it coming up? How high up off of that slab? How tall is it?
Oh, the tank,
No,
the pump,
the pump.
about knee high.
So that silver thing right in the middle is about, you're saying that's high.
Right.
That's pretty tall.
Yeah, because in the front there's a junction box, and that's standing about eye level. That's what monitors the pump and the booster pump that's inside the tank.
So those pipes right now are totally exposed.
Correct.
PVC?
Correct.
So it sounds as though, they did ask for, they did receive advice to build infrastructure first. So it sounds like they were, who they receive it from. That's the next question.
We need to speak up so that the recording and the public can catch all of the discussion.
Yes.
The question was on the advice to develop your infrastructure before you built the house. Where was that advice received from?
Residents,
Of the area?
residents of that area who have done the same thing. The pitfalls, the shortfalls that they wish they would have done right the first time. HOA board members, AAC, the architectural committee members that we've talked to, they've kind of recommended the same thing. And
Did any of them say they went before the zoning adjustment to get any adjustments for doing theirs first or not? Or did they just do it?
I think I think they had, like Mr. Telmo said, we kind of are going the opposite. We're starting with the infrastructure and then building the house. I think everybody else started building their houses, and then so it really wasn't an issue for most of those people because they were building their house and then putting the well in later. But they said it was just such a mess. A lot of the comments were it was a mess when they had their house. They were trying to live there, and they had all the trucks going in and out, doing a lot of stuff. They just wish they would have had the hard stuff done first before. So we took the advice.
If they could go back and change one thing, that's what they're saying.
Yes,
they would.
ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me, when you started this process, you purchased your property, you made the decision to drill the well. Were you intending on building your house within a certain amount of time and then the economy or what was your timeline?
When we started the process, we would have liked, we bought the property in 23. By 26, we would have liked to started it. But then the uncertainty, a lot of things started happening, and we just kind of started pushing it to the right a little bit more. Again, some of the other comments were, if you have the time to put everything in, put your fencing in, put your infrastructure in. If you have the time to do that, do it. So yeah, I don't know when we're gonna start. I would love to start building in a couple of years.
I just meant your original intention. That was all.
Yeah, it was 2 to 3 years from when we bought the property in 2023 to get going, but just life happens and we just keep on shifting to the right. So unfortunately, the well is there and we got to protect it.
Just to be clear in my mind, the permit for a well comes from DBRA, or who issues a permit for the?
If anyone does, it'd be the Groundwater Conservation District. A lot of folks will drill the well first, but it's generally a few days or weeks before construction begins, in order to have water for the construction, especially for the slab and things like that. I don't think we've seen an example of one drilled this far in advance that I can draw on.
It's kind of why I'm on the fence. It's so far away. A lot of things can happen in 5 years.
That was what I was asking.
Yeah. What the original plan was, right?
Yeah, I mean, because then it wasn't a situation where
It could have been close if that was their original plan was 2 years.
I'm just kind of curious too, though. Like, okay, so the next infrastructure item, are we going to build the house, or are we going to put in a septic system, or will we try to do those things in different stages? Because that's a different permitting process for the septic system, right? It goes through the county and.
Right, but it's going to be the same issue. You can't put in a septic with no primary structure either. So,
Is that considered an accessory structure? Septic tank,
It's, yeah, because people could
even below ground.
dump their RVs in it or something. It could be used without a primary structure. Yeah, the intention is that these are gonna be developed as single-family residents, not a lot with a bunch of accessory uses on it. That's what the ordinance requires.
Well, I wasn't aware Centennial Ridge does not have public water, right? Everybody has to have a
It's
well.
on the west wall.
I did not know that.
This is a point of interaction fault. I put my well 2 years before I built. I'll be very frank with you, that the original goal of the land had well houses put in, I guarantee you, not whole permit.
Well, they weren't in the city at that time.
So they were,
The original development,
yes, sir.
then they were
When
done.
they start selling lots, they had come out, they built a well.
But there were existing wells and well houses on that property before it was in.
Right, and then the developer drilled 2 wells after.
Then they were done illegally.
You have to have a permit? Does he have to have a
Not
permit?
for the well, no, but for the structure to protect it or to go around it, yes. And again, typically this is always done in conjunction with the primary application, and so there's not a problem.
What's the number?
It is. Because it seems,
So my question would be, if this one would pass, it happens in the future.
That's exactly right.
I mean, we said in
It's a
the future,
precedent
so
setter. Yeah.
it will continue to happen. I mean, I see a need that needs to be protected.
yeah. I guess that's why I asked about any kind of temporary solution. Not quite sure about setting precedent because we're looking only at this particular application. I can see how it legally it may not set a precedent, but
that's
other
what
people in
happens.
the neighborhood,
And then they say, well, it happened.
yeah, they let it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm really on the fence because of the timeline between the well and the primary structure. But then the other part of me is like, I hate the idea of not protecting an asset that's already there too.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that's my, I think that's what we're all struggling with.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially since it's not. Meanwhile, how? Yeah. So that's.
So, Mr. Batts,
Yes, sir.
you're saying that just to build this now, he would have to come to the city for a permit to build this, even if we say,
He needs a permit for the well house over the well. Yes,
but not for the well.
not for the well itself, no.
Well, the well itself is permitted by some other authority.
It is controlled by other things, and again, generally, these are done concurrent
Mhm.
or almost concurrent with other construction. As far as I know, it's never been an issue before of having a well years in advance. Apparently, there's some ones that didn't follow the process, I guess. But we work on a complaint basis for code enforcement. If nobody drove through there and saw it and gave us a complaint,
Mhm.
we wouldn't have known about it anyway.
So I think this question's been asked. I want to ask it again. Is there an alternative to protect this without a well house, such as wrapping the pipes, insulating the pipes?
Draining system. Anywhere.
Again, I'm not an environmental, I don't know. All I know,
Just about protecting the pipes, because like my backflow, I have to wrap it. I have to protect it every year. Is there a way that you can protect the pipes?
it's also protecting the electronics that is there as well.
I'm assuming this well equipment will be removed from the site and stored somewhere else, and the well pipe capped until it's ready to be installed at the regular interval when the home's.
Right, that defeats the purpose of why we wanted it out there, is for the water system, to have water available on site to utilize as needed. And it's gonna get utilized.
So if you do have to remove it, cap it, like Mr. Bates is saying, your wife is gonna go ahead, or you and your wife are gonna go ahead and garden and all that, and just maybe haul the water in? Or what will you do?
We won't,
Or you just won't do anything until you build the house?
yeah, that would be the hardship for her and me, because I have to live with her. If you're talking hardship, yeah.
Is she in the room that I'd like to speak to this?
If you want a hardship, that would be it for her. No, she's, like I said, she's a Bear County Master Gardener, and this is what she's been dreaming about for 30 years since we've been married, is to have something like this where she can do what she needs to do to help the community with food, to make ourselves self-sufficient here, depending on what's happening in the world. So this is key to that, and just having a well house would be the best option for that. And that's all it's going to be used for, is to protect it. I don't know what else. Removing the equipment is not an option. Again, I just ask that you allow us to build this small house, the small shed.
Suppose that we set aside number 2 on the hardship and ask the question number 3, if granting the variance upholds the spirit of the ordinance and results in substantial justice to both the applicant and the community. That's a high threshold to reach.
It is, and I mean, I'll say that when you first read this, you say, phew. And I think there's a lot of sentiment out here on this for you. Unfortunately, we have to think about the legality of what we're doing and how the city ordinance fits and what the intention of the city ordinance has been, and we're hearing that from Mr. Batts. Also, our hands are very much tied by the fact that we have to agree that all of these things are true to grant a variance. The variances, from experience and from what we've been educated to how to act up here, should be very hard to get. They should be rarely approved, and there needs to be a lot of circumstances working against the ordinance for us to approve it. And that's kind of where you can see we're all struggling up here.
Well, I have another question. I guess I'm going tonight. Other than listening to other homeowners, did you go to the HOA or the ACC and talk to them about the variances and what they would say, or did they recommend you go the route you're going without coming to the council?
That was, I would say, a quarter of the people we talked to was on the HOA and on the architectural.
And were they aware of all this information here?
I can represent the board and ACT, I believe, where yes, they did submit the well pump house. Where's something was passed? I don't believe we've ever checked some of their permits to build a pump house. I guess the pump house is fish permit. But I know a number that we built a house. So this is you educated the board, ACT tonight. But again, we fundamentally, when I think of adding a well house, so remember, concern what we don't want other structures built is the value of the property in the neighborhood. If somebody has a well pump house tank, to me, that's increasing value, and if they sell it, that's not going to discourage you selling from buying. You got some crappy sheds out there or some dead trucks sitting around, probably going to discourage somebody. So again, I mean, we support pump house along this coloration. I will assure you, I think we have one masonry pump house, all the rest are not masonry. They well exceed what we expect for the pump house criteria. So I don't think people have, if they have an issue.
We kind of answered my question. I guess my question was where y'all, was the ACC and your board aware of all the ordinances that needed to be followed before he built the well or dug the well?
That's not our responsibility. Yeah, I appreciate the question, but we have a set of architectural guidelines they must adhere to, whether City of Alberta's permitting that upper than some of our guidelines.
Right.
And that's not we don't construct a resident house deal with the city. We say, here's the rules for our land.
Okay.
And this is what we are.
So he met your board and your ACC requirements. It's just the city council and Bulverde will look at
They
it.
don't have a formal approval.
Gotcha.
This is a situation where the city of Bulverde has. You need to speak up. Sorry. If this is a situation where the city of Bulverde has more strict policies than the neighborhood itself, was the neighborhood, does this apply to some of our more setback situations?
Well, those other ones were special exceptions and not variances.
And still,
Does
is that
the,
not?
does the POA requirements require the primary dwelling to be built before any supporting structures?
Those
There
would
are
have to be in existence.
It's not
before the
quite
city ordinance.
that's clear.
That's
They can start through the same kind of structure, start or fall apart medium. If there are some rules, the guidelines actually allow stuff and live in an RV on high place, stuff like that. And the city might not allow.
No, that's not allowed.
But what I'm saying is, what Southern Development Corporation.
Yeah.
Put together when they sold the land, that is allowed.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so.
Okay, I understand. Do we get to a point where we just call the question?
Somebody's gonna have to make a motion. There's no other discussion here.
So, again, we have granted things simply because of how it affects the enjoyment of a person's investment in their property. I recognize that this is a single family home property meant for, a residence, and that things were done in a different order. But I also recognize that they did seek guidance. It sounded like from people who probably should have known, and things where, there seemed to be a precedence that it wasn't an issue. And so, anyway, to not grant this, I understand the hardship has to do with the investment and all of that, but also their enjoyment of their property until the time comes where they can build their home. It also sounded like they weren't intending for it to be pushed out so far, so maybe it's supposed to be closer. So did it sound like they were just trying to make a garden first and then eventually build a home?
They did their due diligence.
And you're seeing hardships, weather and protection.
And the enjoyment of their property. I would also like to add that in this specific situation, it does sound as though, and maybe I am looking, that the neighborhood has fairly strict policies. And so in this specific situation, this is not now everyone can go build whatever you would like, but the neighborhood's going to handle the rest of it. And we're just talking about the well house. I think if we were talking about the potting shed, it would have gotten different.
Okay. All right. Good. Just make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the variance request. Just as a reminder, we have to have at least 4 of us vote in favor of this for it to pass. 75% by the law. Okay. Any other discussion? Question been called. All in favor? 4, 1. Okay, it carries. A lot of discussion. Need a minute?
There.
So, we okay?
Okay, we'll move to the third item on our agenda tonight.
Yes, good evening. This is a request regarding the R1 40-foot side setback, which prohibits the placement of any structure within the zone. The applicant is requesting to leave in place a rainwater catchment tank, which is currently located 8 feet 6 inches off the property line and is encroaching into the side setback by about 32 feet. It's located in that red dashed box on the screen. This issue was brought to the city's attention by the building inspector who was completing an inspection on the main residence in this tank's location. Both the property owner and the contractor were notified of this violation and are now requesting a variance to be able to leave the tank in its current location. Both the property owner and the contractor are here. If you have any questions about their site or the tank, and then I can answer any questions on the staff report.
How far did you say the tank is from the line?
It looks on the site plan to be 8 feet 6 inches from the property line, encroaching that 40-foot setback approximately 32 feet.
So to be clear, the setback requirement is,
The setback requirement is 40 feet on both sides. They're 32 feet into that 40-foot setback.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you. The applicant here or someone representing that?
Well, my name is Simon Stonecipher. I'm with Full Stone Homes.
Let me do my little.
Oh, sorry.
Do you solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury that the statements you're about to make are true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Yes, sir. My name is Simon Stonecipher. I'm with Full Stone Homes. I'm representing the property owners as a contractor and the responsible party for placing the water catchment tank in that location. So we put on the variance application and we answered all those questions. But prior to diving into the variance, I wanted to ask for careful consideration of the structure that is there. It's a water catchment tank, and it's going to be the sole use water supply for the property. It's a 65,000 gallon tank, and based on the specs from water catchment consultants and online data, that tank, once it's full, it can supply water without rain for anywhere from 8 to 12 months, depending on the number of occupants and usage. And so, after careful research, the homeowners, for several reasons, wanted to go with a water catch system as their primary source of water. And so, that being said, we'd like to see if it could be considered as necessary utility infrastructure or primary infrastructure for water purposes. And if that's the case, if we could all agree that that's the use of it and that's what it's considered, then I don't know if a variance might need to be.
We've already determined a variance is required. This argument is not appropriate for this setting. It's not within the purview of the board.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, we've already determined this does not qualify as a primary utility that would be exempt from setback.
Okay.
And that's been communicated to you.
Okay. No, yeah, but I didn't know if they are also responsible for reviewing ordinances.
Yeah.
Considering that, okay, so that's the case, then I'd like to proceed with, the variance, reasons for the variance here. Um, the four conditions or questions, related to why the tank should go here, we would like it to go here versus any other areas, because the terrain is pretty sloped. And there's, considering the amount of other structures on the property, there's two houses, two dwellings, a main structure, and then the auxiliary dwelling in the back. And so we have two septic systems, and we have a large driveway, parking pad. It's very limited for space. I know it's 5 acres, it's a pretty good size, but as far as availability for the tank at this point, it would require some pretty heavy excavation and tree removals. And I won't even go into the cost aspect of that, as far as relocation of the tank. And so that's why we're here today, to see if we could get a variance. Oh, yes, in this particular lot, thank you, Ms. Bowman. This particular lot does have a drainage easement because of washout and runoff. And so that also eats up, usable space that we could place the tank. You can't put it anywhere near there either. So currently this is the best location for it. And, where it's located, near the property line there, it still falls within the purview and parameters of why the ordinance is in existence. It's not intruding on people's views or, intruding on people's property, either. And from the street, it's not visible either. So I think it's a prime spot for the tank.
Thank you. Where can you? I've seen this wash described in the application. Where is that on?
It's on the right-hand side. It's going to be the furthest left dash line. Yeah, that one.
In
to the
here?
next one. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it extends out to that dash line right there to the left. That runs right up next to the driveway.
So the wash isn't down in here somewhere?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't have the tree underlaid on there, the tree plan or the tree survey, but there's quite a few oak trees, some major oak trees as well in that area in the center there.
And when you talk about the slope, it looks to me like this slope is pretty much the same across here. That here, it doesn't seem too much different across that line. Is that correct in the way I'm looking at this supplement?
Yeah, I'm not sure what if those are 5 foot changes or 1 foot changes on those lines, but yeah, there are some areas where it is significant on the drop off, but in the center there, it's a little more gradual.
I mean, we have seen applications where somebody really could not put something because it's too steep or something running right through the middle of the property. But the wash is described as over here. This looks the same steepness, or better, across here than it is where it's currently located. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, basically is correct as far as terrain goes.
Okay.
But the issue that we run into moving closer to the center is the trees, the oak trees that are there that would have to be removed. And then the homeowner purchased this particular lot for the view that they have coming from the front to the back, and that would be shifted right into their view as well. I mean, that's one of the reasons why also it's kind of a prime spot on the setback there.
When the permit was secured for the water storage tank, what was the location that was submitted to the city?
So that's therein lies the issue. This was my first time doing a water catchment system, and the wells that I've done, permits no problem, always in the top of the list there. It wasn't on my list to get the permit, so we started constructing it, doing the pad and constructing it. That's when the city inspector came out to look at something else on the structures, and he saw it and then said, "Hey, you didn't pull a permit for that yet." So, but that's since been applied for. That's just all we got here. Yeah.
Other questions?
So is it completely built or just partially built?
It's completely built.
So it's a finished product?
Yes, and we put water in it to use, since there's no well going on this property, we paid $3,000 to fill it, well, not fill it, but fill it like a quarter of the way. It's a huge tank. So.
And how long ago was that? Since you didn't have a permit to build it, when did that start? When did you start building?
We started tank construction, just roughly speaking, about 3 months ago. And it was about a 1 month process. And then that's when it was finished is when the city inspector noticed it a couple months ago.
So it wasn't inspected along the lines, it was just a final inspection?
There's been no inspection.
No, there hasn't been an inspection. Yeah, he was inspecting the house for
okay.
electrical or something else. And then he saw that.
So does this have to be inspected?
Typically, the city does inspect the plumbing connections and is supposed to inspect the pad before the tank is placed. It's not possible now.
Is the tank on concrete?
It's on a sand pad.
I have the same. But mine's on 30,000 gallons.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm on. And trees, I assume, were removed to put the tank where it is.
I don't believe there was any. What's that? Yes, there was a few removed in that area.
Other questions? Okay, would anybody else like to speak? I know you're on.
Can we come up together?
You can, if you'd like. As long as you let me read my little thing.
Sure, of course.
You both solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury that the statements you're about to make are true to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, please introduce yourselves.
I'm Lisa Vogelman.
Kim Vogelman?
Thank you.
So I just want to point out that that wash, like it substantially changes where we can put our property. It looks small, but it goes far. Like, and I think I even put in a picture of what it would look like if you, like one of those circles there in the back on where it could go. It would just be full of debris and tree, and it would pile up. So it's pretty substantial wash back there. And then the other thing is, and Simon mentioned this, is there was limited places where we could put the houses because we have a main residence, and then our vision was to have another, like a generational house in the back where we could have our children and grandchildren and stuff. And so there's only so many places that you can put that that tank. And so when you talk about, it looks like it's solid terrain and it's the same, it's very steep. I don't know that you could put the sand there, but besides that, you'd be taking out some pretty major trees. And moving that tank, I mean, it just ruins the whole thing that we built.
May I? Can I come up? Here.
You're welcome to.
So there's a driveway along here too, which has not been talked about, along this,
This?
yes, driveway. And it's a lot wider. But it goes to the back house, so basically there's no room. Where the dotted line is and where you put the tank, there's trees. I don't have the trees, they're on the left side of the next property over, raw property, nobody lives there. But it's all blocked off trees on the left side. And over on the right side that you were pointing at,
is open, but it's very hilly, very, I don't think, I'm not a contractor, so I don't know that. It would, Steve was saying on the HOA, it would destroy our property value big time, because it'd be nothing but the view looking out of our house would be looking at that tank. You would be open. And you can't put it at the bottom because of the wash, and that's all flood area in there. And on the street side, then of course you can't put it in front of the house, so very limited, very, very limited place to put it.
Is the red rectangle dashed around the tank, what does that represent? Is that just to highlight where it is, or does that's
the tank. So the circle.
I mean, this doesn't have any
See, there's a circle in there.
meaning other than, look,
It's just calling out.
okay, all right.
On the side.
There's a circle in there that probably close to where the tank is at. That circle represents what it means.
This here,
I think that's the
Yes.
thing.
that's the tank.
Yeah. That's-
Yes.
So I understand that putting it in the very center of your property, that no one wants to see that. But if you shifted it over just a little bit across the line, I mean, what does that ruin? I mean, I understand, again, you've got this property and things are sloping, but I mean, you're like 8 feet from the
Yeah, that's a good question. And my response to that is, even though it looks like you don't see it, it's already in our view. So, and I think I even put a little picture, like here's, like you can see, when you're on our porch and you're looking out, you already see that tank. And so if you move it over, it just, it gets pretty substantial, and you start eating into trees.
So 32 feet goes outside of that dotted line. I don't know how, I don't know what the scale is on that.
How tall is the storage tank?
8 feet, a little under 8 feet.
7 foot 8.
and it couldn't go in the very back of the property.
I mean, that's a great thought, but the problem is the water is really substantial. Like if we had, to be honest, I mean, it's a beautiful property. We didn't notice how bad that wash was because it eats into so much of it.
Then the setback is on the rear.
That's the city setback or the centennial setback, 100 feet?
Yeah, they is. Which subdivision is this, Jason? Thornbrook, so it's not one of the, I'm trying to remember, there are some parts of Centennial Ridge that have an extended setback on the neighboring properties.
Where the pipeline was built.
What's a rear setback in R2 normally?
R1.
R1. Yeah, so this is, I think this is special for the subdivision as part of the development agreement and on the plat, to provide distance to the neighboring subdivisions on the exterior lots.
And the tank's 40 feet across?
The pad is 40 feet and the tank is 30. That the 40 foot is the pad.
So 36 across and 8 high, 7.
I mean, ideally, I would have left it back there in the back. It floods so bad back there.
Could you think about a smaller tank?
It has to support 2 houses. This is what was recommended.
So it's your house and somebody else's house, or both?
Well, no, they're mosquitoes.
They're both your houses.
Yeah.
Well, it's everybody's property. So, but yeah, that front house is where we're gonna live with my mom, and then the kids will own the
very back.
Yes,
back and back.
That's right. And they wouldn't be happy with the tanks back there, with the view and stuff. But yeah, the kids.
Question for staff. I guess the other circles on the layout, what do those represent? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Did you say septic?
Spray fields.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir, I interrupted you, I apologize.
That's okay. I was just gonna say, one of our family members she went to Texas A&M, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. She got a master's degree in,
Engineering, yeah.
engineering, yeah. So she works for a company that does the water stuff, maybe you,
The flood zones.
flood zone, yeah. And she said that all of that is not even applicable for a water tank. I don't even know if Simon knows that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a flood zone right behind us, like our property, things we should have looked at beforehand, for sure.
But this is not in the flood zone.
No,
None of it's in the flood zone.
It butts up to it.
Okay, because I know you can't build it. It's not
Yeah.
anything permanent.
Yeah, our houses are not in the flood zone.
I'm in the tank.
Right now, no, the tank is not.
we can't put it back there because of flood zone. We can't put it in front of the house, we can't put it on the side, over on the right side, the only other place was right there where you see it. And it's hidden by trees.
But it could be shifted, so it would be.
They take out trees, yeah.
So this estimated 30-foot move is not in the flood zone, but it would take additional trees, is what you're saying?
Yes.
And Steve was making a point that property value would be greatly diminished if you move the tank over because of the view.
Yeah, we'd be just looking at our big tank. And we already see it, like you can already see it from the back, which was
Plant more trees.
yeah, we're gonna have to put trees around it. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, plant more trees.
Yes, absolutely.
Questions? Thank you.
What is next to your property? So, to the left?
To the left, it's
Yeah.
an empty lot.
It's rock all in.
Okay, but someone could buy it and. Okay.
Yeah, and I was wondering too, there's a big orange sign on the front yard, did anybody reply to that? I called that outfit.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Have they responded, the people that own the land to the left?
If they do, they would probably need to come here.
They didn't respond to it.
We never respond.
All right, well, then it's gonna be given into the
Okay.
record here later.
All right, well, we'll let
Okay.
you know.
Okay, thank you. Any, I see members of the public that would like to speak? Yes. I don't have to read you in. I don't have to read you in again.
All right, I'm still Steve Dellenbach, and I'm representing the views of the Property Homeowners Association and also the immediate neighbor to the plan east of where this is. He was out of town last week and could not get a notary, but I had this, he did send it correctly to Bailey, but it wasn't notarized, so I have a copy of that. I think there's a variety of issues that we urge you to consider on this. The original subdivision, the original submission to the ACC clearly showed that the builder understood setback lines, et cetera. So we'll give props for that. We do know that the CETA was significantly moved from the submission to the ACC, which is a violation of the homeowners association. The water tank was never submitted to the homeowner association. I can assure you it would absolutely been denied by the association if it had been submitted. It is in plain view of the road from a sedan, not, it can be an SUV, plainly visible from the road. I think the arguments being made about hydrology, I assume they have a hydrology report put done. I know when you build the city of Belle Verde, when I built, I had to hire an engineer that did a water analysis, et cetera. And I think that we're being overstating that 87 foot is on the plan, but they have lots of room to plan west of that. So I'm assuming the builder understood setbacks. So I was surprised in their application where they said they hired a surveyor to come out and measure it. And I'm again astounded the builder on structure or something like that would not have recognized that was a setback and at least made an inquiry at that time. So I find it hard to accept any argument that, well, we didn't know, because I think they have precedence that they knew that was there. John and Courtney Roberts owned the property immediately to the plan west of it. And if I may read their statement, is that acceptable?
That's this lot here.
Yes, sir, that lot there. Also, I can just kind of give you this, it'd be really hard to see from back there, but just so you understand that their lot today, very different shape. I think that's very important in this discussion. While this lot is effectively rectangular, this is almost triangular next to it. And almost assuredly, they're going to build their house with a view this direction.
So where does, can I ask, so I can get it in my mind, where's this property on here?
This is here.
Outside.
That's the one we're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
And
The
this-
water tank is right here.
Okay, and then this is the property owner that's not here?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
I just want to be sure who was here.
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to point out, Mr. Chairman, that because of the nature of this board, the testimony that you receive has to be sworn. And if the applicant's not here to be sworn in, and the letter was not notarized with the appropriate affidavit, then it can't be admitted in this proceeding. So I just want to make sure that's clear, because then the whole decision could be overturned because it wasn't sworn testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, so then I probably shouldn't read it. Would that be the optimal situation then?
Yeah, that'd be my recommendation.
It was not notarized, the letter?
I will admit, us fairly naive folks out there didn't understand. We're used to the zoning commission where you can submit something, and we didn't know about that. And Bailey's educated us, we'll know the next time, but this just simply ran out of time. So I urge you to look at so my testimony is I urge you to look at the lot next door and look at the triangular shape of the lot. And the optimal placing is not going to be a parallel view with the house that's on this. My guess is that view will be angled planned northeast in it. So the tank will be very visible from their home. And as we talk about property values, I think it's a detriment to that property to have a tank so close to that. They bought that lot in good faith, believing there was 40-foot setbacks on both sides. There'd be an 80-foot buffer zone in there. Those owners, I do not believe, were contacted. I can't tell you that they weren't. I don't believe it was negotiated with them on that. As you mentioned, I appreciate the cost should not be a deciding factor on this. Tank size, for everybody's perspective, when you look at this drawing, the tank size is slightly smaller than the septic circle. So that the rectangle makes it look like a really big thing that's got to get moved. You can put 4 tanks into that dotted square that's up there. And so I'm an engineer by education, multiple degrees. I can read topographic maps because I hiked as a youth for many, many years. And those topo lines to me are very clear that there's other places to put it. I realize it would be in the view of the home. I grant them that, but should it be in the view of the neighbor's home? Should they get the clean view and the neighbors get the view of the tank? I think that's something that has to be considered on this. Frankly, the strongest argument I can make to you is we have very strong guidelines in our neighborhood. They're not well written, but they are strong. And we have a lot of expensive homes out there. And it's very difficult to accept people building something without permission and then being able to get a waiver, not from the subdivision to do it, but from somebody else. And so we would urge you not to grant the waiver. This process wasn't followed for the city. It wasn't followed for the homeowners association. And to set a precedent, somebody can basically come, build something wherever they want, and then come and get permission. It kind of makes a joke of our ACC, to be frank. So I encourage you to consider the implications to the other lot owners out there, because there's a lot of people that love to put stuff out on the edges. Trust me, a lot of people would like to do that. I'd like to have done that on my land. I had to honor the setbacks. I didn't have a choice. So with that, the homeowners associations strongly objects to this being granted.
Just a quick question for you, sir, before you step away. In your submittal, you have on the neighboring property, there's a red square there. What does that represent?
I drew that. That's that's the location of the tank. So I was showing you the relative position between the two lots.
It's right on
two lots. So while I can't speak for the Roberts,
all right, thank you.
I don't want to read the testimony. The point behind that is if you look at, you have to consider which direction are they going to point their house. And I don't believe it's going to
Can
be
you go to page 43?
particular
So
one.
this is 2 lots we're looking at.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's getting really small there. So the lot in the bottom is rectangular in shape, is the Vogelman property. Earl Oak is to the left. Their home faces to the visual east on this diagram. And so the issue on the next lot, and Jim and Sandra Dykes own the lot next to that one, and I believe they may be speaking in a moment because of their potential sightline impacts. But I don't think that lot above it is going to point straight out on Plan East. I think they'll probably want to come down to Plan Southeast. So that tank is definitely in their play. So while I understand the issue that they don't want it in their sight lines, what are we doing in the neighbor's sight lines? Gotta be fair about it. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm glad I asked that question. I did not realize that was 2 separate lots.
That's why I asked on here.
Let me see if there's anybody else first, and then you can come and rebut and respond, okay? Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? Yes, ma'am. You solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury that the statements you're about to make are true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Thank you.
My name's Sandy Dykes. It's my husband, Jim, and we own the lot one over, like Steve was saying. 2 from the lot question. But I just wanted to say, we received the letter from the city notifying us of this. And one thing about the letter, it didn't say anything about getting a statement notarized to send it in. That would have helped. I actually spoke to Josh, the neighbor that owns the property next to where this tank is. He didn't get a letter, or he hadn't gotten a letter when I talked to him. So, and then when we found out, or Steve found out it had to be notarized, that was the morning of the 5th, and it had to be submitted by noon. So that's why Josh didn't get the notarization in.
And typically we don't receive written testimony. Traditionally, people have come to the meeting
In person.
We were trying to find an alternative for folks who couldn't make it. And that's the only one that's available.
And I don't understand why he didn't get a letter. They don't, obviously, I don't know if his correct address isn't there or what. He was surprised when I told him about this.
Everybody who's, we send the letters to the owner of record with the appraisal.
Yeah, I know, and I think maybe, I don't know if his address was wrong or what, but I just wanted to let you know that that's why you didn't get the notarization, because they didn't get the letter at their current address.
And do you want to speak to the application itself? Or?
Just to the issue about why the letter that Steve has that Josh wrote couldn't be read to you. That was all.
But no opinion on this.
Well, I can see it from the road. Sorry.
So where is your property?
We are, okay, so the property that has the tank is lot 6. Josh's is lot 5, we're lot 4.
And where would that be?
That is
where it
to
says
the
sheet
east.
4 of 11?
Yeah, so we,
Which one here?
yes, we are there, yeah. And in fact, you see where the property in between lot 5 has that very, very small back line to it.
Right here.
Yeah, that's like maybe like 100 feet. And so our fence is right at that corner right there. When I say fence, I can see, well across such a short distance. So yeah, well, you can see it. You can see the text of my property.
Are you also on Earl Oak?
Yes, we are.
You'll approach your property from there, not from a different road.
No, we approach, but Earl Oak's the only way to get there.
You on the other side of the wall?
We're the one with the windmill.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak? Yes, sir, you may come and now respond to anything you want. Yeah, you're good.
All right, I am. So I take exception that this is visible from the road. It's not. And it's chosen because it's down below the ground does this. Whoops. So the ground actually hides the tank. So I'm not sure what they're looking at when they say they see it from the road. What about all the others across the street from us? It's a tank. It's rain catchment tank, and it's quite visible. We've got pictures of it. And it's driving around. There's several others you can see from the road. Ours is hidden by trees and by land. So even if I reached out to this people, the owners, they've got a sign that's posted. I reached out to that lady that's on the name that's on the sign, and she said she would pass along a message. That was a month ago. No response. I gave her a phone number and everything. And she said, all I am is the real estate agent, but I'll pass along your message. So I never heard from them. So they were notified, even though it's not notified.
Probably also all of the water tank, that back line were approved. Our argument is not that this, partially is, it's over 40 feet, your house is close to, I understand behind your house. And so that's a partial argument. Other lots, they're deep parameters, so they're built in the rules, built permits, so.
Yeah, and visibility, from my understanding, visibility of the road is not an issue at all.
No, shouldn't be. That's my opinion. It shouldn't be an issue. Because ours is, where that one is located, it's probably hidden better than any of the others. We put it there thinking that it was okay. But I'm not the builder. We hired the builder to do this, and it was a shock to us when we found out about it.
I don't think visibility is an issue either.
Yeah,
If they're all visible, that's not it.
I don't think so either.
I think it's the zoning issue and the setbacks that is the issue.
So I did a lot of research on the construction of the tank, and since it's metal, and because of it is got enough room for a fire truck to go by between the property, the rectangular property and our property. There's enough room for a fire truck to go through there if they could even drive through there. I don't think they could because of all the trees and the terrain and whatever. And it's only 6.5 or 7.5 feet tall. It's not even, you can see over the top of it. So I don't think that's an issue. That's all I have for now.
Thank you. Anyone else need to speak to this, either for or against? That ends the public part. Now it's our turn.
Why should we do permits and not even trying to get a permit or seeking? They do need a permit. And also the fact that it's visible from the property owner. That's not a hardship.
Yeah, finances are not a hardship.
And it's movable. I mean, it's not like they don't have a place they can move it. It's not. I mean, it's not that much of a move.
It'll take a bit to move it.
Well, still, it's doable.
I have a smaller tank, and that can still take a bit to move it, especially because you have to put water in it to for ballast if it's because it's not fixed to the ground.
With the ACC,
when you do that, I understand that. So
they would have never approved it.
Well, so there's all kinds of arguments. I think that the bottom line is that it's built within the setback. And I understand it would be financially costly to move it. I understand placement but I don't think that is ours.
Exactly. I would just like to say, I think these corrugated water storage tanks are not terribly unsightly. I kind of like the way they look. So that's just me, though. I have strange ideas.
So, special conditions of the land was in the application. I don't
I just saw the improvement it could have gone pretty good.
Okay.
And they had already removed trees to
Okay. Look at these. City, okay, the criteria again, not contrary to public interest. I feel that it would be contrary to the interest of the neighboring lots. So
I agree.
Okay, and granting the variance will uphold the spirit of the ordinance, I think. Okay. Any discussion? Any motion?
I move to deny the request.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request. I think based on the fact that we can't answer all three of those criteria in the affirmative, because it's not one or the other, it's all three have to be proven true, and I don't think that's been done, so. I'll vote. All in favor of the motion to deny. Okay. Thank you. Okay, any other business before the board tonight? No?
No, sir.
Okay. Then I say meeting adjourned at 8:08 p.m.